We are live. Hey, Shyvee, thank you so much for joining me today. It's so good to see you online. I think we haven't met since the pandemic uh, hit like 18 months ago. So I know you've spoken at quite a few of our events. So for everyone joining us today, Shyvee, she is a product manager at LinkedIn Learning at LinkedIn and is originally, I believe, from Hong Kong, right? You're an expat like
Mhm.
me and has been an amazing support to the Expat Women Network, which I'm the founder of, and I know also to the community, especially now on LinkedIn. She's been crushing it on LinkedIn since she started getting active on this platform in June 2021. With creating content, and I've seen the amazing growth in the number of followers you've had. So on before we kick off the discussion, I would love to hear a little bit more about what you do and then also your journey on LinkedIn. I mean, you work at LinkedIn, so your journey on LinkedIn would be what made you join LinkedIn, and also, what even though you worked at LinkedIn, you only got active in June 2021. So what inspired you to,
Mhm.
get active on this platform? So handing over the stage
Yeah,
to you. Yeah.
thank you so much for the opportunity to share here today. And thanks, nice to meet you again after reconnecting after so many months. I think it's probably almost 2 years at this point
I
now.
think
I
so. Yeah.
remember before the pandemic, I really enjoyed the, hanging out and going to events, the expat women community. So thank you again for the opportunity to reconnect and share my experience today. Yeah, my journey on LinkedIn, I guess just taking a step back. When I was in Hong Kong, I feel like I started to get more active on LinkedIn, even when I was a consultant working out of the Hong Kong office in the early days of LinkedIn. Everybody see it as a professional resume uploaded on the crowd, right?
Right,
In the
right.
crowd, and then during my MBA, which I did it in Northwestern a couple years ago in Chicago, I visited LinkedIn campus through our tech track, where we traveled to different tech companies in Silicon Valley. I went to the LinkedIn office the first time I went to a tech campus. You get so mind blown of all the great cultures, different speakers talking about how you can, work and driving impact. At that time, I knew that LinkedIn was my dream company, but I didn't know how to get to it and how to apply for a job, whether I would be qualified. Imposter syndrome kicks in. So I
Right.
didn't really take a lot of action in terms of like actively looking for job opportunities at LinkedIn. So when I
Right.
graduated business school, I went back to consulting there for a year and a half, and then I just remember my visit to LinkedIn, and I just wanted to find my way in. So I connected with a colleague and some couple alumni also who were working for LinkedIn at the time, and they connected me to a special opportunity at the time. They value like former consulting experience, trying to help drive operational excellence, especially around the sales, technology, and process domain for LinkedIn. So for those people who know LinkedIn, you know that we have on the B2B side, we have the talent solution that we're selling to recruiters. We have a marketing solution that we're selling ads on our fee. And we have our sales navigator solution that's targeted at business development professional, and then LinkedIn Learning, which we acquire Linda. So the four line of business plus our premium is operated pretty much like four different startups under the LinkedIn umbrella, right? So we need a function to kind of centralize our go to market because our customers see us as one LinkedIn. So a lot of my job at the time was helping to streamline the technology. So I get to work with engineers and designers, looking at like in-house solutions and trying to figure out what's the best things to build to empower our sales force, our global sales force. At the time, they were 6 to 7,000 globally when I first started in 2018. So as I started to build more product and like understand, the excitement of doing user research, gaining user insight, I was like, wow, how cool would it be if I become an actual like PM working on LinkedIn product facing external users, not just internal folks.
Right.
So I started to like talk to people, get some mentorship around how can I pivot into some part of LinkedIn product. And I am actually first generation in my family to went to like a prestige college and receive quality education. So education means a lot to me, as in opening doors for economic opportunities, right? So LinkedIn Learning, again, at the time was my dream. I remember at the beginning or at the end of 2018 was like, I feel like, wow, if I can be like a PM at LinkedIn Learning, that would be my dream. But again, imposter syndrome kicks in. So I was like, I don't know how I'm not going to even get closer to that. I'm working in sales, but we'll figure things out. So over the course of the next 12 months, right before COVID, was when I did a lot of self-reflection, networking with people in that space, seeking mentorship, and then gradually, finally pivoted into a LinkedIn Learning as a product manager. So at LinkedIn Learning, we are helping a lot of enterprise and learners to upskill and reskill. And it becomes extremely critical in today's environment with COVID, reshuffling, digital transformation. So some of my focus areas, I would say for the past year and a half, was more on the platform side, trying to transform LinkedIn Learning from a content provider where we have a network of instructors and producing our own content to a platform and a hub where we can ingest different type of content from the third-party provider, from the company. So then it becomes this front door of people coming to us to learn, right? And over the past 6 months, my focus has shifted more towards how to help people find the most relevant content. So from a search and discovery standpoint, helping LinkedIn Learning to bring the best content to our learner, and also piloted some new format. We call it office hour. So leveraging our LinkedIn Live technology, where learners can chat with instructors live and learn with their peers. So that's another sort of 0 to 1 product that I partner with another PM to bring it to life, another 2 PMs to bring it to life. So those are the little focus areas that I am working on, and it's pretty interesting to solve. Back to your question about why do I start to posting content more frequently on LinkedIn? I think it's been like, starting this year, I believe I've been following a lot of influencers who post on various different platforms, writing newsletter on Substack, posting on Twitter. And then as a company, we're also creating strategies to empower creators. So this creator economy, passion economy has just been like in the back of my mind, I guess, starting from like COVID really accelerated this trend. There are also a couple other content creators on my team that were very popular on TikTok and other platforms. So I think altogether, it has really inspired me to create more content or try to explore that path of creating more content. So I think I did some research in May of like, what type of content would I find it interesting to create? And then it would be sustainable for me to create as well, balancing a busy job, right? So I think about, should I create a newsletter? But I don't know if I, have like the right writing skills to like create long form content, video content. Again, I feel like only until recently I started to get more comfortable with like showing myself in front of the camera. Otherwise, I'll be like,
I'm the same.
Syndrome comes in, right? So yeah, and then I try to figure out what platform works for me. Like on Twitter, I have maybe like 150 followers. I just don't think I have like a co-star problem in product. We call it like, you don't have enough following to kick off like, the snowball effects to grow your audience. Right. So I think when I started in June, it was a combination of a long time, a lot of passionate things that people talk about, creator economy. I want to give it a try. We have some folks in our team that's doing it pretty well on different platforms. So I wanted to give it a try. And because of the company's focus on empowering creator, I also want to gain like firsthand experience of what does it mean to become a creator? Am I a creator? I do like to create things in my pastime, like, slide decks, frameworks, playbook, or arts, craft stuff. So I do consider myself creating content is like a creative juice and outlet for me. But I just never done it in like on a social media platform consistently. So I think back in June is that was kind of like, let's give it a try, not so serious, but just committed to a 30-day challenge, see how far I can push it. And that's where it came about.
Thank you. Very cool. Before we move forward, I just want to give a shout out to Jishan, Agu, and Gabe, who've introduced themselves on the chat. Gabe is actually, I'd say, the king of LinkedIn Lives or LinkedIn live streams. He has a Facebook group. So follow Gabe if you want to learn more, if you're planning to do LinkedIn live streams in the future. He actually spotlighted and showcased our live stream today. There are a lot of live streams happening on LinkedIn, but ours got center stage. So thank you, Gabe. And I see Zishan has joined us from Toronto, and Agu has joined us from Nigeria, and he's an aspiring product manager. And so you're definitely in the right place. Yeah, very cool. And if there's anyone else who's joined us, feel free to share, where you're calling in from and what you do in the comments, and connect with each other. LinkedIn's all about building relationships. And Gabe says he loves the conversation and content creativity. Yes. So I had a couple of questions based on what you shared, and thank you, Shyvee, for giving us, sharing your journey and how you got to where you are today. Because people just assume, oh, she works at LinkedIn, so she won't have imposter syndrome. It'll be so easy for her to create content, to show up live on video, which even I couldn't do a year ago. If you told me I was going to do lives on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is really the hardest platform to go live on because it's got all professionals. So you just have to put on that professional hat. But I think it's also changed. LinkedIn has changed over the years. I joined in 2007. In fact, November 30th was 14 years since I joined LinkedIn. But like you, I wasn't really active till earlier this year. I used to post and promote our events. I've tagged you several times when you've spoken at an event, and I've shared that, but that was all. I was just promoting, not giving, not engaging. So coming back, first of all, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about LinkedIn Learning for those people who are not familiar with it, because a lot of people are on LinkedIn, but they're not even aware that there's this amazing library of videos and trainings. And then do they have to have the premium membership to join it? And how can people find, because I said you mentioned that you're focusing on some areas of LinkedIn Learning that can help people with growing their careers and being able to find the right one. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit about that, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, sure. LinkedIn. So LinkedIn Learning came from lynda.com, which was like an online learning community, a platform that we acquired about 6 years ago now at this point. So we rebranded Lynda to LinkedIn Learning. So it is accessible for members who have premium, membership with LinkedIn. It's free access once you have the premium. For folks who are not premium members, I think there are certain numbers of free videos that you can check out. You can sign up for at least a month free before you decide whether you want to commit to continue your subscription. Also, a lot of our learners are actually enterprise learners. So they got their license through their company. So make sure you check out the company's L&D benefits. A lot of companies actually do offer LinkedIn Learning subscription free of charge for their employees. So make sure you check that out and don't miss the opportunity.
And how does one become, if someone wants, maybe there are people in the audience now who will watch the replay and they want to become LinkedIn learner trainers. They have a course, or, they have expertise that they want to share. How does one apply for that? Would love to hear your tips.
Yeah, definitely. That. I think if you search LinkedIn Learning instructors, there's an application form for people to fill out. And then, so there's certain questions, maybe people will ask you for a sample video or like the type of content you want to share. And then our content team will, depending on, the topics that we need, curation or more content, they will reach out to you correspondingly. So do check it out and fill in the form. Happy to make intros if there's people have like creative content that you want to showcase on LinkedIn Learning.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I see Katrina Gana's joined us, and she says she's a content creator producer and she admires all that you do on LinkedIn, and she's going to join the LinkedIn live events, live stream that Gabe has a group for. So she's following Gabe. So I love that. I love connections and happening while, the live streams are going on. And again, I think LinkedIn has become such a fantastic platform. I love it. I'm excited. Like every time there's a new feature, even discovering, the existing features, learning more about them. There's so much. It's like, it's like an amazing Pandora box. You open it and then there's more and more, and you just get hooked in. And it's, I've made so many amazing relationships. I think I've also connected with you on LinkedIn. I think that's how we initially met, because
How we got started.
yeah, I think I
Yeah,
was doing
definitely.
yeah, I think I was doing an event, a panel on product management, maybe at Yelp. And I was looking for product managers, and I did a LinkedIn search, and you came up, and you were also an expat, and I invited you, and that's been several years, and you've been so involved. So again, before I was even really active on LinkedIn, I was able to get amazing speakers and build relationships with people like you. So thank you for doing that. So everyone, so that I know that two things people struggle with on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
newbies or even people who've been there for a while. One is, of course, deciding what content to create. Second is, finding the audience that will appreciate your content, because sometimes you could spend hours creating content, and then you post it, and then there's crickets, and there's views but no engagement. And views are good.
Right.
You want people to comment, you want to engage. And then secondly, you want to build that following. You do, I mean, again, followers, not just thousands of followers who are not really interested in your product, but it's more like for vanity, like, oh, I have thousands of followers, but more like followers who are really interested in what you do. So would love to hear what you did and tips for people who are looking to do this on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, thank you so much for, your love and support and passion for LinkedIn. And I'm glad we got connected through LinkedIn. And I don't know how much I can, share yet, but I can just tell you and all of you on live that more is coming, and it's only
Oh,
getting
nice.
from here.
I'm
So,
great. Thank you.
um, yeah. So as far as my journey of creating content on LinkedIn, I think there are a couple of tips. First, I think a lot of people have anxiety around creating content. I would say I had it too when I first started. I didn't get it the first couple of times I did it. If people are familiar with me and follow my entire journey, you knew that I started in June this year. I signed up to do a 30-day challenge where I just post every day about topics that I think I wanted to post that people might find it interesting. So I started with me thinking like, okay, what are some simple things that I can do? So I ran it, like I posted for 30 days. On average, I get maybe 10 engagement, per post a day. So it's pretty low,
And
right?
when you
Like
say engage, sorry to interrupt. When you say engagement, was it like views or likes or
likes.
reactions? Just reactions, not even comments.
No,
Okay.
yeah. Like comments, maybe 2 or 3, maybe sometimes a little
Okay.
longer, right? Like when I first got started, it wasn't like I'm a PM at LinkedIn or I just got it. Like I got everything figured out. I'm not working on fee. I'm working on
Right.
LinkedIn
Right.
trainings, right? So I need to figure out myself too. Um,
Right.
and so then the first challenge give me maybe 150 followers at the end
Mm.
of a 30-day challenge. So it was, I didn't know, was it good? It doesn't feel like very good, right? So what happened was then in July, I actually took a little bit of a break, kind of figure out, okay, what do I go next? And then in August is when I get started again, and I partner with another PM friend at Coursera Melody, where we started another 30-day series on personal productivity. So every
Mm.
day for 30 days, we drop a tip on Monday through Friday about like something around personal productivity. That series is when I learned the most about what to post,
Mm.
how to craft, how to get audience. So the post lasts for about 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Follower wise, I gained maybe 500. So it's better
Mm-hmm.
than the first one, but it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like stellar. But the learning was great because
Right.
I test out different format. I test out short quotes. I test out different visualization. I test out text only posts. I test out different tagline. One of them went viral. So one of them got viral in more than definition. I never had like millions of likes and views, right? But
Mm-hmm.
that post gave me 40,000 views in maybe like 2 days, and then over 300 reactions
Wow.
over the course of 2 days. So that post gave me a lot of confidence around, okay, these are the type of content people want. Basically,
Right.
if people remember that post, it starts with, I said I woke up every day at 4:30 a.m. And then here are the great things that I did. Halfway through the post, I twist it and say, wow, that's what I wish that would come true every day. So what I did is that I actually wake up at like 7:15 or 7:30 every day, had to snooze like 3 times. Basically, I show them, I have a tagline that attracts attention. And then I show them in reality, I'm not perfect either. So I try different things and work out, figure out what works for me.
Right.
So and that series gave me a total of 500, followers, learn a town. I actually, beyond that, I feel like I gained 2 speaker engagement. One of them was paid by a corporation. So it was like building that momentum and the confidence in like, I knew I can do it. Now, the third series, I think it's majority of you starting to get attention, is transitioning to PM. So I knew in the back of my mind that, what is the one thing that I have a lot of experience, thought a lot about, that I have a lot of credibility, and I knew that there will be market. So I spoke a little bit during my intro about pivoting into PM as a career pivoter. I spent a lot of time thinking about it. And so I experienced it firsthand, first of all. Second, I met a lot of friends over the years. And then especially since I made the pivot, so since 2020, I think for the past 2 years, I probably spoke to more than 100 people, coaching them, helping them, mentoring them, both in one-on-one setting, group setting. And a lot of them asked me very similar question, very similar approach. So at the point I knew that even without audience, I just want to create mentor at scale, creating leverage, coming from both my, own experience as well as the experience helping others. So I created that series. And then even just the first post that I announcing that I'm going to do this series, that post went viral as well. It gets 60K views, just pretty much overnight. I got like 1,500 followers. That shocked me too. It's not like it's going to do well, but I didn't know the scale. And then the followers just kind of grow. So if you remember, in June, I gained 150 followers in 30 days. The second series, I gained 500 followers in 30 days. And then right now, on average, I gain 500 followers a week. Wow. So that's kind of the momentum. Right now, it kind of slows down a little bit. I think sometimes there's so much audience in a certain space, then you have to learn about the next phase of like how to sustain that growth. But I think by sharing my story, I think the takeaway here is really, you just have to get started. You have to lower your costs of starting to post. You can't just think about, okay, I'm going to spend like 10 hours creating this grand post that I think everybody will love. You don't know. You have to post a lot of things to know what's right. That's number one. So just get started and then think lean. It's a product concept, right? MVP, like lean startup, minimum viable product. What's your minimum viable post that you can get out and do it and see if you get traction, and then keep iterating and learning and like iterate. I think at the end of the day, the third tip I would give is what I call content audience fit, which is like building product. We try to find product market fit. Like, what product does it exist to solve whose problem? Similarly, at LinkedIn, what kind of content can you create that you would have credibility? And then there's an audience that there's a demand that already exists so that you can tap into. I feel like for me, transitioning into PM really worked was because I have the credibility that I've been through it, done that, coach a lot of people, mentor a lot of people. And then there's already an audience. I just need to tap on it to like release that demand. It wasn't like I tried to create a new demand, because I think the first time when I post a lot of stuff around things that I enjoy, like, a portfolio career or some educational tech startup in some niche market. It's really hard. Like, I mean, it's an interesting topic, but I don't know where the audience exists, how they will find me, how I find them. So I think coming back is like really about finding that fit. And you have to, my other advice is that sometimes we want to post certain things. But a lot of times I think it's at the beginning when you're still building the traction, I think you need to find what resonates with people most first, and then they value your opinion in that area, and then kind of
Mm-hmm.
exploding that, get your audience, use that as a springboard. Then later, once you have a solid foundation, then you have more flexibility and freedom to
Mm-hmm.
and creativity to talk about some other stuff that maybe you're more interested in. So, for example, yes, I'm very passionate about transitioning into PM and helping people, but eventually
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk more about how do you build great product, how to become a great PM. But I don't have as much credibility in that space. But over
Right.
time, as I build up this space, I will have more
Right.
chance to talk about those topics and position myself as a thought leader in that space. So I think you have to
Right.
like compartmentalize, like you have this dream vision of what you want to talk about, but it's
Right.
important to like break it down to really tangible steps that you can like immediately execute. For me, creating a post takes less than, depending on the post, but vary between like 10 minutes to 40 minutes. So it doesn't
Mm.
take that much time to create.
Right. Right.
And nowadays it just gets faster and faster. Usually, sometimes I create a week of posts in less than an hour if I'm super productive.
Right.
If not, maybe a little longer, 2 to 3 hours.
Right.
Um, but you have to find that momentum, find that rhythm that works for you, that's sustainable, and you can quickly learn. You have to post in order
Right.
to learn what resonates. You can't like hold things up, have everything perfect, and then release it.
I agree. And so it's really a journey. And I love what you said, about it being like you get, first of all, just get started. I think a lot of people are so nervous that that they can't write, that they're worried about no one showing up, no one commenting. But, even if one person benefits from what you're sharing, and and I know for a lot of expats and immigrants where English is not their first language, they worry about that. But I know now LinkedIn has it in many different languages. But I think if your content is powerful, people are not going to care. So I know we're almost out of time. Very quickly, like one is what type of post, in your opinion, gets the most number of views? Second, how do you plan if you're doing someone's planning to do a 30-day challenge or 30 days of posting content? Do they do it in advance, or like create all that content in advance, or do they post every day? And then I had one more question, but I forgot what that was. So let's go with yeah.
Yeah, I think the content that gets the most views, I think it really depends. But from what I learned, and one other tip besides like Lynn and MVP posts, I think it's like follow other followers
Mm-hmm.
and mimic what they do, right? Like learn what does well for them. I think
Right.
usually if a content that's very valuable, very authentic, it tends to do well. You should have a really catchy title so that people are willing to like stop and click on to read more, right?
Right.
Those psychology around when people browse feeds, you need to think strategically about how you can grab attention in the midst of a lot of different posts. I think sometimes sharing failures and like relatable story, not like you get everything nailed, usually
Right.
get a lot of virality. I've seen a number of those posts. I personally have not been able to down a lot of those, but I've seen those tend to get a lot of traction.
Mhm.
And then your second question was about if they were to do a challenge, like how often do they post? I mean, and what's their strategy around developing content? I think it really depends on what your goals are, and then what is the cadence that feels most comfortable to you. If you're
Mhm.
just starting out and
Mhm.
you can't keep up with daily posts, then start with weekly or twice a week or 3 times a week, whatever speaks to you. You should always put your mental health and balance, your happiness first, right? And then
Right.
the second thing I would say is that when people have anxiety or writer's block, I like how you reframe it as like, I'm not here trying to like, like brag about my accomplishment,
Mhm.
right? Or get attention. I'm here
Right.
to share my knowledge, share my journey, share my learning to inspire others. So as long as there are some people reading it, some people reacting it, it's part of my knowledge repository, right? Part of the seeds that I'm planting. So I
Right.
like that kind of framing to like lower your like, oh, I'm not comfortable putting myself out
Right.
there
Right.
because
Right.
I'm not comfortable putting myself out there, right? Um,
Right.
so I think the last thing around like, I don't think you should develop all your content up front
Okay.
because because that's not iterative. You're not learning based on what you heard from the community. You can have a topic, right? Like you can have a theme around, like recently I'm helping another influencer on like creating no code, like let's say 30-day no code to create a quick solution. Hey, that's great. Like you can have a rough guideline of like, these are the type of things I want to talk about.
Right.
But then each week you should iterate on like, you know, what type of post, how long, how dense the content should be, what kind of language. Those are the parameters that you can play around. Should I include images? Should I use video? Like those are the little things that you can like learn about and iterate every week as you respond to, you know, the reaction from the post. I also think that sometimes it's helpful to, you know, I do it to like map it at a week base, just because during the week my day gets super crazy. So I won't be able to carve out time every day to create my post. So I like to create like during the weekend or whatever at like, you know, at a weekly basis. So I have every week planned out. I do have a calendar where I keep a track of like ideas I want to post about. That will keep me sane about like, okay, these are the things I want to talk about. And here are the sources. You know, I'm constantly reading and curating. So then it reduces my chance of like hitting a writer's block.
Right. No, that those are fantastic tips. Thank you so much for sharing. I did do some of the takeaways in the comments. I know we're out of time, but I just want to add, like, you know, everyone suffers from imposter syndrome. But if you focus on adding value, like you said, if you focus on sharing your expertise instead of worrying about what people will say and I'm not good enough, I think that's the first step in, you know, getting the confidence to post on LinkedIn. So finally, Shyvee, thank you for being on this LinkedIn Live. Finally, how can people find you? Is there what, you know, can they follow you on LinkedIn? Do you have anything that you want to offer or share with our network?
Yeah, sure. I think just connect with me on LinkedIn, follow me. I usually share news content every day at around between 8 to 8:15 a.m. Pacific time. I also recently curated a guide for transitioning to PN, which I should and will add to my LinkedIn description so people can check it out.
Fantastic. So yeah, so definitely follow Shyvee, whether you're on product management or not, because I think just following her journey on how she's creating content, you know, getting all these raving fans and followers, and also she works for LinkedIn. And if you want to know about those new features, I'm sure maybe she'll be the one disclosing some of them. And she works for LinkedIn Learning, so check that out. I want to thank everyone for joining us. This conversation we have the comment section, so keep sharing, and Shyvee might come back to it later if you have any questions, so you can post your questions in the comments on LinkedIn, and you know, maybe Shyvee will swing by at some point when she has a little break from a busy schedule at LinkedIn and posting content to answer that. So thank you so much, Shyvee, for being on this being on this LinkedIn Live, and I look forward to meeting you in person at LinkedIn in San Francisco when this is done. All right.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And like I said, like feel free to leave your question in the comments, and I'll get to it when I have time.
Awesome. And thank you. I see some great comments. Yeah, fantastic. Like Katrina, Diane, Harsh. There's a LinkedIn user who's not sharing who they are. All right. Bye. Take care. Thanks.
All right. Bye.